I hadn't missed a Sunday dinner in 12 years. Not once. Not after working 70-hour weeks, not after pulling double shifts during tax season, not even after that winter I got the flu so bad I could barely stand. My mother, Susan, always said I was the dependable one. The daughter who remembered birthdays, who brought dessert, who showed up. That evening, I drove the 40 minutes to my parents' house with a lasagna dish still hot on my passenger seat. I'd made it from scratch, the kind Dad Michael liked, with extra cheese and no ricotta. The smell of garlic and basil filled the car like memory. That smell always meant home. Their porch light was on when I arrived, pale yellow against the dusk, the kind of light that made you think someone was waiting for you. I parked out front, careful not to block Eric's driveway spot. He was my older brother, always got the spot closest to the house. I climbed the stairs with the lasagna warm in my hands. A familiar rhythm. Left right pause on the third step because it creaked. I didn't knock right away. I was reaching for the screen door when I heard my name. Maya won't be a problem. She never says no to family. It was Michael's voice, flat certain. I froze. My hand stayed suspended near the handle. Inside, voices bounced off kitchen tiles. Mom Susan sounded strained. But 300,000. That's insane, Eric. How did you even... It doesn't matter how Eric said sharply. What matters is that I need it handled before the audit goes deeper. You said you'd help. Then Michael again calm decided. We will. Maya's got that promotion. Remember senior analyst at that big firm? She's probably making, 150 now. The dish in my hands didn't shift, but something in me did. I stayed completely still as if moving might make it worse. The screen door pressed cool against my arm. The lasagna slowly losing heat between my fingers. Inside, the conversation kept going like I didn't exist. She mentioned something about bonuses, Eric added. Probably more than 150. My mother sighed. She works so hard, always has. There was a pause. Then Susan's voice softer now, like she was convincing herself. We'll say it's for the roof. The house has been leaking. We can start there. 30,000 maybe, then later medical bills. I'll say I need some procedures. Eric didn't even let her finish. Spread it out. She'll give it. She always gives. Remember the business loan, 20 grand? No questions. Never asked for it back. She gave us her signing bonus, Michael said like it was a point of pride. 40,000. Just handed it over. Eric laughed. Who does that? She still thinks we're a real family. It's almost sad. Susan didn't laugh. Her voice came back brittle. Don't talk about your sister that way. She's naive, Mom. She thinks showing up with a damn lasagna means something. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. I saw it clearly myself on this porch again and again, arms full, heart open, never once suspecting I was being drained. Michael's voice was calm again. We'll space out the requests. Maya can't say no when you cry. That always works. I don't like lying to her, Susan said quietly. It's not lying, Eric replied. It's family. Her money is family money. She doesn't have kids, doesn't have a husband. What's she spending it on anyway? That apartment. The apartment I had poured everything into. The one with the view of the park and a front door that locked. The only place I called mine. She'll be fine. Michael said final as a gavel. She always handles things. That's what she does. Are you sure there's no other way? Susan asked. Eric's voice dropped. Unless you want me in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud. No, this is it. My lawyer says if I can pay it back before they dig deeper, they'll drop it to civil penalties. Tax evasion. Fraud. My brother, the one they bragged about to cousins, coworkers, strangers at the grocery store. He wasn't just struggling. He was criminal and they were going to make me pay for it. I stepped back from the door slowly, careful not to creak the step. My hands were slick with sweat. The dish nearly slipped. I caught it. No sound. No trace. I couldn't let them know I'd heard. I made it back to my car without falling apart. That surprised me. My legs felt disconnected, like I was floating just above the pavement. The lasagna sat on my lap like a joke I didn't get anymore. I didn't drive off right away. Just sat there, engine off, listening to the faint buzz of summer bugs and the occasional passing car. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Text from Susan. "Where are you, sweetie? Dinner's ready." My thumb hovered. Then I typed, "Sorry, got called into work. Emergency audit. Rain check." 3 dots blinked. Then came her reply. "Oh no, we have something important to discuss." "Can it wait?" She was going to say it. "The roof, just like they planned." "Sorry, Mom. Boss says it's urgent. Love you." I didn't drive home. Not yet. I just drove. City lights, gas stations, places that didn't know me. I needed motion, not arrival. By the time I finally pulled into my apartment garage, the lasagna had gone cold. I left it on the passenger seat and walked up with empty hands. Inside, I didn't turn the lights on right away. I stood by the window, watching the night filter through tree shadows, and felt something crack open inside me. Not anger. Not yet. Just a tired kind of clarity. I had given them $40,000 the year I graduated, then lived on ramen and cheap coffee until I could save again. I gave Eric $20,000 when his business collapsed. I paid for their anniversary dinner when they said they were tight. I never once asked for a penny back because I thought that's what daughters did, what good sisters did, what family did. But now I understood something I hadn't before. They never saw it as generosity. They saw it as compliance. By the time I went to bed, a plan had started to form. Quiet, sharp. I wasn't going to tell them I knew. Not yet. The next morning, I didn't make coffee. I made moves. I sat down at my desk and opened every account I had checking savings investments, even that old 401k from my first job. I transferred every cent to new banks, ones my parents didn't know. I called each customer service line, set fraud alerts, froze every joint point of access I'd ever shared. Then I changed every password, 2-factor authentication, recovery questions, all of it. My phone rang nonstop. Mom, Dad, Eric. I didn't answer. Instead, I emailed my boss, Laura Thompson, and asked if she had a few minutes. The subject line was simple, personal, urgent. Laura was a sharp woman in her 50s. No kids, built like someone who'd walked through fire with heels on. When I stepped into her office, she didn't smile, just gestured to the chair. "I need advice," I said. "Not legal, not yet, just personal, but it might affect my work." She nodded. "Go on." I told her everything. The conversation I'd overheard, the money I'd given over the years. Eric's fraud, the plan they made my plan to vanish, financially speaking. She listened the whole way through. Arms crossed, her expression growing darker by the paragraph. When I finished, she leaned forward. First, she said, "You're handling this better than most. Second, you need a lawyer. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they might try to twist that. Third, you need a record. Every dollar, every ask. Document everything." I opened the spreadsheet I'd started the night before. 5 years of transfers, dates, amounts, notes in the margin like Eric's emergency and Mom's medical bill. Laura whistled low. "That's nearly $200,000. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My throat felt tight. Then she looked at me, something soft in her voice. "Now, one more thing. We've got an opening in our Seattle office. Same title, better pay. And most importantly, a coast between you and this mess." "Seattle," I repeated. "You wouldn't be alone," she said. "You'd have support. We'd handle your visa, the move, everything." I didn't answer. Not yet. But something in me shifted. That afternoon, Eric finally got through. I don't know why I answered. Maybe I wanted to hear how he'd spin it. "Jesus, Maya," he said. "Where have you been working?" I said. "Flat. At that job you think prints money. What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm busy. What do you want?" "We need to talk as a family. Dinner tomorrow." "Can't. I have plans more important than family." I didn't hesitate. The kind where people don't scheme to steal 300 grand. There was silence on the other end of the line. "I don't know what you're talking about." Eric finally said. Tax evasion fraud. You were going to let me pay for it. He laughed. Too loud, too forced. You were listening. I was bringing lasagna, I said. Remember that family dinner? That thing you said I foolishly still believe in. Maya, listen. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You planned it. You told them to cry if they had to. You called me naive. I'm in trouble. You should have thought of that before you broke federal law. You're seriously going to let me go to prison over money you can afford? I closed my eyes. I couldn't afford the 40 grand I gave Mom and Dad. I couldn't afford the 20 I gave you. I couldn't afford any of it. But I gave it because I thought that's what family did. Silence heavy, like he didn't know where to go from there. I'm begging you, he said. Then beg someone else. I hung up. The texts started immediately from Eric, from Mom, from Dad. I didn't read them. Wednesday, I got a knock at the office lobby. It was Susan. She looked older than I remembered. Her hair was undone, her eyes red. She didn't wait to be buzzed in, just rushed past security and found me by the elevators. Maya, please just talk to me. I stood there in the marble lobby of my firm in a navy blazer and heels while my mother cried like a child. We can talk? I said. Right here. She flinched. Can't we go somewhere private? No, Eric is in trouble. I know. Fraud, tax evasion. He told me he made mistakes, but he's your brother. No, he's your son. You help him. We don't have the money. You know that. Then maybe he shouldn't have committed a felony. Her voice cracked. How can you be so cold? This isn't like you. You're right. The old me would have already written the check. The old me thought love meant sacrifice. The old me believed you when you said family helps family. She looked up confused. What are you saying? I'm saying the old me died on your porch. That stopped her. You don't mean that. I leaned closer, voice low. You said I wouldn't say no. You said I don't understand how the real world works. You said I turn to pudding when you cry. Real tears, now not performative ones. Real fear. We were desperate. No, you were greedy. There's a difference. She reached out. I stepped back. I left her there in the lobby under the gold letters of my firm's name. I didn't look back. Thursday came and went in silence. No calls, no texts, no surprise drop-ins. For a moment, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe they'd finally understood. Friday afternoon, I was packing up my desk when the receptionist called. Maya, there's someone from legal downstairs, a process server. Says he has documents for you. I froze, then exhaled slowly. Send him up. He handed me a manila envelope. No eye contact. No words, just a scribbled name and a quiet exit. Inside a formal complaint. My parents were suing me, claiming the money I'd given them over the years were loans that I was now demanding repayment, and had caused them emotional distress and financial instability by cutting off contact. It was absurd. So absurd I laughed right there at my desk. Not a sharp laugh, a hollow one. The kind you let out when disbelief finally gives up and lets exhaustion take over. They weren't just trying to guilt me. They were trying to punish me. I called the attorney Laura had recommended, a woman named Rachel Lee. Efficient, direct. I scanned and emailed the documents. She called me back 10 minutes later. They have no case, she said. No contracts, no documentation, no written agreements. Nothing to prove any of this was a loan. This is textbook harassment. Can we counter? I asked. We could sue for damages, emotional distress, defamation. I paused. The idea didn't sit right. No, I said I don't want their money. I just want them gone. There was a long silence on the line. Then Rachel said, Understood. I closed the folder, put it in a drawer, locked it. That weekend, I started packing, not just for Seattle, for a life that wouldn't include people who saw me as a checkbook in heels. The movers were scheduled for Tuesday. All weekend, I filled boxes with things I once thought I'd keep forever, cookbooks, with my mother's handwriting in the margins, framed photos from holidays where I'd been the one behind the camera. I wrapped them carefully, then left most of them behind. Sunday morning, Eric called again. The number was unfamiliar. I picked up without thinking. "You're really going to let me go to prison?" he said. "I'm not letting you do anything," I answered. "You're going to prison because you committed crimes." His voice cracked. "I could lose everything. I already have," I said. "My family, my trust. My belief that you all cared about me as a person, not just a resource." Silence. "I was scared," he said. "I didn't know what else to do." "You planned it. You laughed about it. You coached them on how to lie to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't think about me at all." He tried again. "Maya, please. I'm begging you. I already told you. Beg someone else. I'm done." I hung up, blocked the number. No more texts came. No more calls. They must have realized the door was shut. On Monday, I stood in the middle of my half-empty apartment and looked around at the life I'd built. Every inch of it earned, every dollar fought for every piece touched by people who now felt like strangers. I didn't cry. Instead, I packed my last bag, zipped it shut, and taped a note to the front door for the movers. Seattle, 2-bedroom, facing the bay. That night, I slept better than I had in years. Not because everything was fixed, but because I wasn't pretending anymore. I found it in the back of a cabinet tucked behind old baking pans in a chipped pie dish I never used anymore. The lasagna pan, still clean, still heavy, the one I'd carried that Sunday night full of warmth and hope and cheese, believing I was walking into love. I ran my hand along its edge. It was just glass and metal, but somehow it held everything. Every dinner I'd made, every time I'd tried, every way they'd emptied me and smiled while doing it. I didn't cry. I just picked it up, turned, and dropped it into the kitchen trash. The sound it made wasn't loud. At the airport boarding pass in hand, I got one last text from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was. "Susan, I'm sorry, not for needing help, but for how we planned to get it. You deserved better. I hope someday you can forgive us." I stared at it for a long time, then typed back, "I hope someday you can deserve forgiveness." I turned off my phone and walked toward my gate. 6 months later, the message came through my lawyer. Eric had been sentenced 18 months in federal prison, tax evasion, wire fraud, attempted concealment of assets. My parents had sold their house to help cover his legal fees. Lost most of it anyway. They were now living with my aunt in Texas. I didn't feel satisfaction, not guilt, not even anger. They were just names now. People I used to know in a life I no longer lived. In Seattle, the sky was always shifting gray, then silver, then something almost warm. I had a corner apartment with old brick walls and a view of the bay. I'd made friends, good ones, colleagues who valued me for more than my signature on a check. Sometimes on quiet Sunday mornings, I still made lasagna just for me. Not because I missed them, but because I remembered the girl who once believed bringing food was the same as bringing love. The girl who carried her heart in a casserole dish and left it on their doorstep again and again, hoping one day they'd hand it back whole. She was gone now. In her place stood someone different. Someone who knew that love without respect is just debt in disguise. Someone who understood that walking away wasn't giving up. It was remembering who you are. And sometimes the only person who ever really shows up for you is you. I used to think showing up was enough. That if I kept saying yes, kept giving, kept making casseroles and covering bills eventually, they'd see me not just what I could offer. But some people only love you as long as you're useful. And the moment you stop giving, you stop existing. I didn't leave to punish them. I left to protect what was left of me. If you've ever stood outside a door with something warm in your hands and hope in your chest only to hear the truth that breaks you, I see you. You don't have to explain why you stopped calling, why you didn't go home for the holidays, why you walked away. You don't owe anyone an apology for saving yourself. If you've ever been the one who gave quietly, just leave one word you wish they had said to you. Maya learns that love without respect is a transaction, not a bond. She discovers that her family's reliance on her generosity was not gratitude, but exploitation, viewing her as a resource rather than a person. By walking away, she realizes that self-preservation is not betrayal, but survival. Her journey teaches her that true family honors your worth beyond what you provide. Maya understands that saying no can be an act of strength, reclaiming her identity from those who only valued her utility. Ultimately, she finds peace in prioritizing herself, recognizing that sometimes you must be your own advocate.